Hello, Psychologies magazine followers. My name is Mary Fenwick. I write the Agony column for Psychologies magazine. So that means once a month I get to answer readers' questions, and once a week I'm here doing an Instagram live. I can see some people joining. Please say hello. Let me know where you're joining from. The Gen X Women's Coach. Hello. Lovely to see you. Cassia Grab K. Lovely to see you. Let me know where you're joining from, and in particular if you've got any stories that you want to share tonight. Hi, Nairi Louise. I'm Mary Fenwick. I write once a month for Psychologies magazine. That's what the latest cover looks like. Ruby Wax. Ruby Wax. So the December issue, which has just gone out to subscribers now. The Gen X Women's Coach, hi from a rainy Brighton. Yeah, I'm in a rainy Woking in Surrey. But I'm in the, I've got a little conservatory on the side of my house, and it's actually quite nice to be here in the rain. So, some of you might have joined me previously. Selin says Gin 19. Hello, where are you joining us from? I'm here once a week, Tuesdays at 5:30. And today is my first time in not British summertime. Maps of Joy. Hi, Karen. Hi, Karen Harvey from Damp Wales. Maps of Joy. You have joined me before, and I can't remember what your real name is. But hello, Selin says Gin. Hello from Turkey. It's one of the things I love about doing these, actually, is how international they are. Oh, yeah, Zaina from Iraq. Waiting since an hour ago. Yeah, because the clocks have changed here. So our Joy, hi Joy, we have gone back an hour. So we're no longer on British summertime. Oh, I'm so sorry. I've got a request here from Coactivate, which is requesting to be in the live video, which is not something that we do on this one, because this is not my personal one. This is the Psychologies magazine page. So I've had a chat with Susie Walker, and we're not having people join live. But we're calling this Weekly Wisdom because the idea is I can answer any questions if you've got them for me, but also it's about sharing our collective wisdom about a particular theme. Psychologies magazine, that's it. Karen joined once recently. I'm a poet and writing for wellbeing practitioner. That's it. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you. So, Psychologies magazine is the UK's best-selling mindful living and emotional well-being magazine, and we're very motivated. Those of us who who write for the magazine, we're very motivated by community and by kindness. And just to let everybody else know that Selin is a psychology student in English in Turkey this year. Wow. I'm be particularly interested in what you've got to say on tonight's theme, actually, because what I want to talk about tonight is escapism. What are you doing to escape at the moment, at least in your head? What is working as escapism for you when the pressure of whatever the situation is where you are? We've already heard from Iraq, Turkey, Wales, rainy Brighton and Newark. I'm in rainy Woking. So all over the UK, we're in slightly different circumstances at the moment. I don't know anything about how it is to be in Turkey or Iraq at the moment. But what I do know is that this has been an extraordinary year for all of us, and we've all probably either found new ways of coping, or we've either found new ways of coping, or we've kind of turned up the volume on what we were already doing. You can see I'm slightly scrolling and reading at the same time. Zaina is asking, what did I study? Well, in the first place, I studied history and politics. So I've got a particular interest in women in politics. Then I did postgraduate journalism. And most recently, I studied positive psychology and coaching. So I'm not a psychologist, but I work in the other parts of my life. I work with women in leadership in particular. Karen is saying, I've always enjoyed Psychology magazine. Yay, thank you. Well done, Selin, from Karen Harvey. Natalie Joy says she's got an advert in this month's magazine. In the ruby wax cover, do you think? Or in the... one moment. This is the one that might still be current in the shops. It's got November on the cover, and December is the one that's coming out. So I wonder, I'm an artist and create memory maps. Oh wow, that's quite escapist. That really, so interesting, because I don't know if you joined last week, but I was talking about memory, and in particular the kind of positive function of nostalgia. And I've got a stack of books beside me, actually, because I was going to talk about my escapism into reading. And one of the books that I've got beside me is called, I'm not sure if that is reversed for you, but it's called The Art of Making Memories, How to Create and Remember Happy Moments. And I can imagine that we would all need a bit of that at the moment. And that might relate a bit to your maps of joy. The more I think about it, the more I love the idea of maps of joy. But this book, which is one of the ones that I was going to talk about, is by Meek Waking, who is the CEO of the Happiness Research Institute in Copenhagen. So escapism by creating memory maps. Now, I can imagine that being escapist in a number of different ways. That mapping, I love maps and their kind of relationship to our kind of lived daily reality, but also the memory element is kind of escaping from the everyday and our immediate situation, but also the creative element of creating a memory map. So more and more I love the sound of this, Joy. Thank you. And I'm going to read. Claire is saying dog walks by the sea work as escapism for her. Diversity matters, I think. Hello. And Selin says she is trying to learn English. Thank you for the good wishes. Well, you are very welcome here. And if you listen to me, though, you might end up speaking English with a slight New Zealand accent. When I lived in France for a while, I had to make a conscious effort to tone down my New Zealand accent because it confused students somewhat. Karen says, I'm fortunate enough to live on the seafront, and even through lockdown, I've been able to have my daily swim. Yeah, I can really imagine. It's really interesting how swimming has, wild swimming in particular, has taken off this year, hasn't it? That so many people are into it for the benefits of that feeling of escape and that feeling of connecting with nature. And I also think there's something really incredibly special about swimming in the sea for that feeling of being supported. Sometimes supported and sometimes kind of caught up in some big elemental thing that's bigger than you. Catching up. The Gen X women's coach says hiking nearby, sea swimming, curling up under a blanket with a book, and the cat. Yeah, I don't know if I've said, but we've kind of semi-adopted a cat. Our neighbour's cat has been spending a lot of time with us, but he is not a curling up with you while you read a book cat. I'd love him to be, but he's more of a semi-detached cat. Karen said, writing poetry is a marvellous form of escapism. Yes, I do also know a few people who've been more and more tempted by writing poetry. What would, Karen, what would you recommend for people who wanted to start exploring writing poetry at the moment? I'd love to know that, and I'll read it out and share it with everybody else. Zaina says, great, thanks for sharing. Maps of Joy is, she's in the Christmas gift guide in the December issue of Psychologies, which has got Ruby Wax on the cover. Anybody just joining, I'm Mary Fenwick. I write the monthly advice column in Psychologies magazine. Haven't even looked at my own column. Oh, interesting. I've forgotten this one. This is a photo of me from 7 years ago when my hair was different. And yeah, in this month's Psychologies magazine, these are the questions. Will polyamory fulfill me or ruin my marriage? I love my job so much. I'm so lucky. Somebody saying my in-laws are no support during my cancer treatment. What should I do? And somebody else saying, I don't want to see my aunt because of her scary outbursts. I remember all of those. Those are the questions that I'm dealing with in the issue of Psychologies magazine that you'll be getting shortly. But I'm here if anybody wants to ask a question, but I'm also here to kind of facilitate the sharing of wisdom. We call these our weekly wisdom sessions on a Tuesday, 5:30 UK time. And I'm here live to answer any questions that you've got, but also to share stories, experiences, tips. And today I wanted to talk about escapism. What is working for you when you want to escape the current situation in your head, maybe, or physically going for a walk, a dog walk, or swim in the sea. And Annie Ford, counsellor, says, love Ruby Wax. She's awesome. Her frazzled cafes are the best. Are the frazzled cafes, maybe you can tell me, do they exist online at the moment? I'm presuming they quite possibly do. But yeah, I've been a big fan of Ruby Wax's as well. I actually loved her autobiography, which was, I think she might have written that before she switched away from the acting and comedy into the mindfulness and psychotherapy. Because what I really remember about her autobiography is when she comes to a bit that she can't remember, she just writes blank, 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 which I found really amusing, that level of honesty. Joy missed last week. Yeah, well, anyway, I'm sure it wasn't anything that you don't already know, but it was about the value of nostalgia and how there's some research which says, and in fact it's the University of Southampton has got a whole pocket of expertise about the value of nostalgia and how it's a bittersweet emotion that does have an more, even though it's kind of happy sad, the value of nostalgia and remembering a happy time or a happy place or a happy experience. That form of reflection is psychologically healthy and tends to make people happier. Joy says, yes, it's all about reliving happy moments. It's really important to do that. Yeah. And Karen says, memory maps sounds great. Heva says, hi, love your accent. Thank you very much. Joy says, I used to live in Brighton. My daily swim was very therapeutic. Miss doing it. the Gen X Women's Coach. I'm a poet too. Always have a notebook and pen with you. That's the tip for getting started. Don't be held back by thinking poetry has to be a certain way. I do think that is a great tip, actually. I'm seeing other people joining. Katrina. Joy says, my father started writing poetry during lockdown. Oh, wow, started. He's found it a great escape. Like anything creative, I think it takes you to another place simply by getting started. Zaina, watching Mary live every Tuesday is my escapism for now. Wow. Selin, is EFT popular in my country? It is quite popular, or it's sort of gaining popularity in the UK. Anybody else have experience of EFT, which I think, are you talking about tapping there, Selin? I'm just not sure, because I'm coming across more and more people talking about the tapping. It's not something that I practice at all, and it's not something I've got any expertise in, but I do know it is becoming more popular. This is me tapping my own screen at the moment because I have to scroll. You won't know me. I won't know myself when I get my new phone. It won't be until it's only a couple of weeks away now, actually, because I'm leapfrogging a few versions of phone to update, and getting one with a much better camera and one where the screen reacts to my tapping in predictable ways, and I will not know myself. Karen says, look for online groups on Facebook for getting started with poetry. Read lots of poetry and join a group. Don't get uptight about it. Poetry doesn't have to rhyme. It's the processing of how you feel. Oh, love it. Thank you. Great tip for escapism, in a way to transport yourself to another place. So again, another thing that I like to think about when I'm sharing these tips and experiences, which is where a lot of these recommendations do fall into this category. I love it if they're free or really low cost or really accessible. So if you have got escapism tips which are really accessible to people all around the world, which Facebook groups on the whole, and writing poetry, especially freeing yourself to write poetry, not making judgments about the rhyme scheme, they're all great suggestions. So let me see, what else have we got? My friend did an online gentle release therapy session. It was lovely. Interesting. I'd like to know more about that. That's from Claire at Nairo Organics, I think. Lots of free talks on Facebook and online. Yeah, Joy's saying, I'll have fun with my new phone. I will not know myself. So I'm going to share a few of my tips for my reading material that I found therapeutic and a form of escapism, because I'm really interested in getting other people's tips about books, and I'm interested in getting people's tips about fiction, because I tend to buy a lot of non-fiction books and they stack up, but I read fiction and non-fiction with a different kind of mindset. I think I find fiction a bit more purely escapist. Non-fiction, mainly I suppose because I am a journalist, non-fiction is a little bit more work-related for me. Okay, Karen is saying taking photos on your phone and a few notes on your phone or notebook, and you can create a poem or a blog. That's an escapist and low-cost thing to do. The theme that I thought I was going to share, and we've gone off in a different direction about poetry and maps of joy, nostalgia, escaping into happy memories. But what I was going to share is how much I have been enjoying reading detective fiction at the moment. And I'm holding up a book by Ellie Griffiths, Lantern Men, because I really like the Ellie Griffiths series, which are about a forensic archaeologist called Ruth Galloway. And I like them because there's kind of, I really like books where you get into a kind of series. They are murder mysteries, but they're not gory at all, because I am not into anything harrowing. I definitely don't like to be harrowed. But what I was reading the other day is that many of us are getting more into detective fiction because Karen's saying I love it. She loves Ellie Griffiths. Well, I will particularly listen to your recommendations for anything else that is a bit similar, because apparently one of the reasons that we are particularly enjoying detective fiction at the moment is it gives you this feeling that something is being resolved. There's a kind of a tangle and it's being untangled. And at a time where so much of what we're living is not being resolved, I think that is part of the appeal of detective fiction at the moment. So that was one of my recommendations, the whole Ellie Griffiths detective fiction. I'm just going back slightly because Claire is explaining gentle release. It's like guided meditation, and this was specifically for women and focusing on the reproductive system, but it can be for anything. So guided release is another new idea for escapism. Obviously, escaping into a magazine is a form of escapism. And I'm intrigued at the moment about people's relationship with magazines, because this is one of my theories, is that people have a bit of a kind of a relationship with a magazine, that you perceive a magazine as having kind of a personality almost. It's almost more like a friend as opposed to, I don't know, a Facebook group doesn't necessarily have a personality. So Karen is saying story resolution makes sense, and Joy is saying that, gosh, that's interesting. I'd never thought of detective fiction like that before. I hadn't either, and it was a bit of an aha moment, and it made me go back and start reading. So apart from the Ellie Griffiths, the Ruth Galloway series, I went and discovered, other people knew this is not really a discovery, but it was new to me, that the novelist Sophie Hannah has been given the kind of license to update some Agatha Christie novels featuring Hercule Poirot. And as a Francophile, I'm always into Hercule, a bit of Hercule Poirot. Sophie Hannah has now written 3 updated Agatha Christie novels featuring Hercule Poirot. And I've read them all now, and I enjoyed them all very much. And what I also wanted to say is I've been particularly enjoying all these routes since the library reopened locally. I kind of politically, personally, from a community point of view, I believe in libraries. I love libraries, and the fact that my local library in Woking has reopened has been a source of joy to me. And here is one of the books that I've currently got from the library by Robert Harris, and it is called Second Sleep. And to be honest, I had not particularly got into this novel because it's got a kind of mystery element to it, but I was really into the quite simplistic detective fiction. That's what I was looking for, and I felt as if this book wasn't going to be quite simple enough for me. I was just about to take it back to the library, unread, more or less. I'd started it but hadn't really continued, when I read a review that made me want to keep it. So I'm going to stick with it now. The other books that I turn to again and again for escapism. Hello to people joining. I'm Mary Fenwick. I write the main monthly advice column for Psychologies magazine, and once a week I'm here sharing weekly wisdom, not just my wisdom, but the wisdom of the Psychologies magazine community around a theme. So Grocer Adam, I think, is waving. Sounds like maybe a Dutch name. Claire says, yes to library. I volunteer at my village library. It's a real community hub and lifeline for so many people. Absolutely. Yeah. See, this is what I mean about Psychologies magazine. We're all part of a community with quite similar interests, I think. Books that I come back to again and again. I'm holding up a P.G. Wodehouse. Love P.G. Wodehouse. I would say with P.G. Wodehouse and Agatha Christie, you have to be a bit careful because you stumble into the old casual racism and homophobia, which is not escapist. But if you choose a little bit carefully, then I think P.G. Wodehouse and Agatha Christie are both great. And the other books that I will definitely return to, which I read intermittently over the years, are anything by Jane Austen. I do love escaping into a Jane Austen. And I thought I would also, while I'm talking about, myself, but with the aim that you'll talk about yourselves as well, I do love a code word. I escape into a code word or a general word puzzle or a crossword puzzle. Truman Capote is my recommendation, says Joy. Okay. Any particular Truman Capote that you recommend? Did Truman Capote write fiction and non-fiction? Don't know enough about him. Partly I'm interested in Truman Capote because I think he was friends with Wrote to Kill a Mockingbird. Slight mind blank. Who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird? The author of To Kill a Mockingbird was friends with Truman Capote, I think. Somebody else might be able to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to catch up and maybe answer my question. Karen says, I enjoy magazines. I definitely, but must admit I do more social media. I'll have to revise this. Claire says, oh yes, Truman Capote. Joy says, yes, big friends with her. What was her name? To Kill a Mockingbird. So ridiculous. Harper Lee. Thank you. Oh, that was going to drive me mad, and it was a long way away. It wasn't going to come back to me until I'd finished. So, I'm about to wrap up. I'm here for about half an hour, 5:30 every Tuesday UK time, doing an Instagram live on the theme of weekly wisdom, sharing our weekly wisdom around a particular theme. I write the Agony Out column for Psychologies magazine. This is the Psychologies magazine to look out for in the shops next. That's with Ruby Wax. That's the December issue. And this is probably the issue that might be floating around at the moment, November issue. Join me next Tuesday. Can't tell you what I'll be talking about yet because I haven't decided. But look forward to seeing you then. Bye.